Hello guys, and welcome to today's video. So today I'm actually going to double down on my build video on Titans. Not because I love Titans more than every other race, I love Titans more than every other race. Might as well not lie about it. But anyway, I'm going to double down on my build video today for the Titans. This build video is going to be about the Titan Exotic, the Enclosure. I have to be honest, when this chest first came out, I did not like it at all. I felt it was stupid. It didn't really improve anything in sense of Titans, like what we do best. Like it didn't give us anything ability wise, it didn't really give us anything whatsoever. But after playing around with it and actually trying to think of like a good build for it, my mind has actually changed quite a bit. Like, it's not like, let's be clear, it's not like game breaking, but it's actually quite fun, surprisingly. But let me stop waffling and get into the video. Okay, so like I said, this build is gonna be about the Enclosure, and the idea that I was thinking about when I was actually looking at this exotic is the mod, one of my favorite mod, the reactive pulse. What the reactive pulse actually does is essentially, while charge relight, if you get attacked while close to any enemy ad and you're surrounded by loads of combatants, well, not loads but enough combatants, what it does is it pretty much emits like an arc pulse. Think of it like a warm cell going off inside your body. It pretty much just emits that pulse, killing most normal ads, like throw level ads around you, which I always find quite useful. It's something that you can do without actually having to think about. Well, the problem with reactive pulse right now is Bungie kind of stealth nerfed it. Before, you can probably wipe out a whole room and it would do pretty much the same amount of damage as a one-man cell, but now it feels like it does half as much. Like it will do damage, but most of the time it'll just leave everything one shot around you. But if things are already pretty weak, it will kill them like it usually does. But what the Enclosure does is essentially does the same thing by doing like a melee final blow. Doesn't matter what element, it's covered apart from status apparently, which is kind of weird. I actually just noticed that. But doing a light melee final blow, you pretty much unleash the damaging explosion, so you will release that wave to essentially destroy normal ads around you. But what it really shines from is if you do a finisher, it essentially makes it even more powerful, the same size as the former reactive pulse, and all you have to do is simply finish it. You don't need to be charge relight, you don't need to have any form of anything, you don't even have to be any subclass. Just a simple finisher will get you the same effect as a reactive pulse. Obviously, it does mean you have to put yourself in danger in terms of actually getting that finisher done, and if you're just gonna go through the route of doing the melee, you need to have quite a strong melee recharge rate. So what this build is focused on is essentially maxing out my strength so that I can get my melee back as possible, and I'm also doing to accomplish that, I did use radiant lights to get my 20 strength so that my gears are not too focused on melee. I'm still doing a charge with light build though, so I'm still taking charge. Then I'm combining that with striking light. Striking light essentially when I defeated any ad, which is my main goal since this is what the chest is about. defeating an ad with a melee will essentially take one of my charge light and gives me like some energy back, essentially. And if you use like an arc mod, not true, I'm wrong, you don't need to use an arc mod, but you do gain like damage resistance while against combating while sprinting. So while you're sprinting, you do gain some damage resistance. It's not really that strong, but it's a resistance that you don't actually have to do anything about. I'm doing global reach mainly because I'm still using the War Myself weapon. Obviously, if you're not using the War Myself, you can use global reach for something else like breaking shield, for example. But I got my breaking shield on the very top. But if you're not doing global reach, you can always spin it out for like any War Myself weapon, any War Myself mod, or you can always go for something as simple as the protective light, which will have to be void. So you can do something as simple as protective light, since again you do have to be aggressive, you do have to go close range for you to maximize this build. But fortunate for you, what you need to think about is you don't actually have to do your build and actually aim towards melee like I have, because like I said, Enclosure itself work with just finishes. So if you weaken a target and do a finisher, you already get that explosion for free. There is no cooldown, there's nothing stopping you from literally spamming it non-stop. So in terms of like exotics, this is the one thing that probably will not change your playing style whatsoever. It's one of those exotics you can put on, and no matter what you're running. So if you can't think of anything to run, this will probably be one of those free exotics that you can put on no matter what subclass, apart from status apparently. But even during status, it just means you can't do your melee final blow. The finisher will still activate. So it's a pretty good exotic. At first, I always hated exotic because I felt like they didn't really do much. But after testing it out, it'll probably be one of those exotics I will actually use a bit more. Especially now that I actually got a pretty decent drop. Anyway, hopefully you guys do try this out. It's not something I would have think of if I was actually making a build till I actually thought of it. But I feel like if more people use this, you might find it a lot easier to clear ads on a Titan. Because there's very little amount of exotic on Titans that deals with waves of ads as quickly as this exotic. So I think very soon it actually might have a chance to shine, maybe in Vault of Glass, because that raid does have a lot of encounter that requires you to clear waves upon waves of ads. It might be something I pull out during day one actually. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video, and thank you guys as always.
think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo, run it back. You know that I run it.